Spiritual awakening, reconnecting with your true self, remembering who you are beyond this physical body, beyond this physical reality, going deep within yourself, shedding all those layers that disconnected you from your true purpose, your highest calling. Working with uncomfortable, scary, long-buried emotions, deep trauma, endless questions, being scared, feelings of bottomless loneliness, but also feelings of joy, love, proudness, that you are able to look yourself in the eyes all the way to your soul and choose to change and to transform into your highest timeline. Hi all my beautiful beings. I wanted to share some realizations and some thoughts that personally have helped me during my spiritual awakening journey, things that I think I would have needed during my hardest times, during the dark night of the soul. Because I do think that spiritual awakening usually goes through similar phases, even though every experience is very individual, we still have similar questions and similar experiences and maybe emotions. So maybe by sharing my own thoughts and experiences, it will help somebody out there. I do want to emphasize that my consciousness is at a certain level at this moment now, and it will keep expanding and I will evolve. So always take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And a year from now, I have added layers on top of my spiritual wisdom and experiences. So just wanted to make that clear. And if something doesn't quite come to you, you kind of understand that there's something to it, but you can't get it right away, then just let it be and maybe it will come later. Because this happened to me so many times during my spiritual awakening journey that I saw a video or I read something and I couldn't quite get it, but I knew that there was something to it. I kind of felt the energy, and then half year later or a year later, it just hit me. And I do think we have to be kind of in a certain mental state or certain vibration in order to get certain messages, to understand certain things. So don't think about it too much if it doesn't hit it, Also, a side note, Finnish is my native language, and sometimes I might say things in a bit funny way in English, and I might use some weird words, so just keep that in mind. I think the first thing I want to say that you are not alone, and you are not crazy. There's so many people going through spiritual awakenings at this moment, have been, will be going through. I think I would have needed to hear that, because I think it often felt like I was totally losing my mind and I was going nuts, and it will all make sense later on, certain experiences and certain thoughts that you are going through. But I want to tell you that you are not alone. And even if everybody thinks you are crazy, I don't think you're crazy. I came up with this metaphor about spiritual awakening, which I think kind of explains, or at least somehow is representing spiritual awakening, at least the first moments. And it's about a balloon. So visualize a balloon. And before spiritual awakening, you are inside the balloon. The air that is inside the balloon, it's you. And then usually when spiritual awakening happens, something out of ordinary, it usually can be quite dramatic events in your life. It pops the balloon. And then your air, your soul, your everything gets out. And it gets out to this very unknown place. And at first it feels very scary, because you have never been there. Even though the air inside of the balloon is as much you as the outside air, so the unknown, it still feels scary because you don't remember that you are everything outside of the balloon. If it makes it easier, you can also think about Earth and space, that you are on the Earth and suddenly you're skyrocketed to the space and you have never been to space and you are alone in this rocket. This is spiritual awakening, and of course it's super scary. and nobody else maybe around you is going through that or has been going through that. They don't understand how scary it is to be in this space. They don't understand how scary it is to be outside of the balloon. Actually, there's so many metaphors that I could come up with. It's you are the star and you're the universe. You are the earth and you're the space. You're the air inside of the balloon and you're also there outside of the balloon, you know? But you're not the balloon itself. And I remember at the first steps on my dark night of the soul, I was scared that I will go back to being unaware. I will go back to be unawakened. But just remember that that's not going to happen, because once the balloon is popped, it's broken and it's not going to be filled up again because the air will still go through. You're not going to be unaware. You're not going to be unawakened. Just remember that. I think there's actually a song, I think it's from Lee Harris. It goes something like, you are not broken, you're just coming back to you. Yeah, you're not broken because you were never the balloon. You were the air inside and outside of the balloon, if you get it. I think the basis of all in life is safety. Of course, physical safety, but also as much as that, emotional safety. Even if we just think about the chakra system, the root chakra, which is about safety in both forms. And I think the spiritual awakening journey is kind of like walking through a pitch black forest you have never been in, or going through a roller coaster where you are faced with another layer of your shadow again and again. And of course, this is very scary, and that's why I hope to create in this channel kind of like a safe space, or somebody that is walking with you through the forest. Of course, I'm here on YouTube, but still, it's so much easier if you know that you are not the only one going through it, and that kind of like somebody has survived it in a way. Of course, like spiritual journeys, everlasting journey, you will always evolve and our consciousness will always expand. But I think once you have gone through your first dark night of the soul, things maybe get a bit easier because it's the first time you go through a pitch black forest, so then it gets a bit easier afterwards. And I wish I would have kind of understood that the spiritual awakening journey is not a race or competition. There's so much information and there's so many books and videos and content creators and everything, and you want to grasp every information because it creates safety. But I think what in this situation is important to notice why you feel like you need to have all this information, because usually it's rooted somewhere much deeper, in a way that your ego is trying to get all the information because it wants to be this all awakened, enlightened person. But it's not a race. I actually think it's much better to go things a bit slower. I wish I had, because it can become very scary if you know too much too early in a way. So yeah, it's not a race, so take your time, and if it starts to feel too much, just ground yourself and do normal human things. Also, I think it's very important to remember that there's so much misinformation online and everywhere, that it's very important when you are in this state that you are somewhere, you are in the space, you are outside of the balloon suddenly. It's kind of scary, so maybe it's easier to believe everything that comes to your way. It's also very important to remember that every human is talking through their own filters, through their own experiences in the past and in the present, or their nationality, their race, their gender, everything. Even though if you do a lot of healing and you raise your vibration, we still speak through our own filters and experiences. Even the highest spiritual teachers, or the ones that are considered the highest spiritual teachers of all time, are still talking through their own points of view. I think that's so important to emphasize. That's why it's very important to always trust your intuition, how things make you feel. If something feels off, then it's not a message for you. Also, I think it's very important to notice that if somebody makes you feel, or that you are hearing some spiritual teacher say that they are better beings than other, then that should be a red flag. That's a spiritual ego talking. Everybody is equal. Everybody is worth the same. Everybody is as capable as being love, full of love and lights and everything as every single other person on this planet and beyond. So always remember that. And yes, of course, there are people who have more knowledge or more experiences, are spiritually maybe a lot further in their own journeys. And that should be respected, of course. And we wouldn't have gone to this point as a human race if we wouldn't have all the information. But it's still always important to keep in mind that everybody is valuable. You are not less than anybody else. Also, when you're reading spiritual text or watching spiritual videos, just keep in mind the era that those have been made or written, and also the social norms are around that time, because I think that's important to take in notice, because it of course influences everything. And also that have the spiritual teachers themselves written or made those things, or has somebody done it for them, because of course then their own agendas those writers have maybe influenced or have probably influenced those quite a bit. Never trust anything blindly. Always trust your intuition. Always trust the energy you're getting, the feeling it makes you feel. If it feels off, then just leave it. You are the knower of your own truth, so don't ever take anything that doesn't feel right. Most of all, trust your own experiences. Trust how things make you feel. Everybody feels energy. We are all energetic beings. People, even in like everywhere, not in spiritual communities or anything, use phrases such as "I got a vibe," which means I got a vibration, because everything is vibration. So always trust that. I believe that we are all teachers. I don't think anybody should be a follower. That is also why I don't consider myself belonging to any religion. I kind of use everything as an inspiration, and always I'm searching for things that make me feel more connected to my higher self and to my inner truth and my inner knowing. And of course I respect all the spiritual text and everything that has been written, but I don't take anything that doesn't make me feel good. If I see something and it's not based on love, empathy and compassion and equality, then I know it's not my message, because those are my values and those are my most important things. So I actually recommend this to you, but of course your spiritual journey is your own journey and you go where you are drawn to. And most of all, of course, my own spiritual wisdom and consciousness and everything comes from my own spiritual experiences. I think that's the most reliable source that one can have, is their own experiences. And I think everything is connected. Every single thing here in this planet beyond is connected. So I use everything as a inspiration and information and source for myself. If it's science, if it's psychology, if it's philosophy, astrology, geography, biology, everything is connected. Once you start to put the dots around stuff, you see that everything is just one, everything is together, which is beautiful. But it can be quite scary at that moment, because you maybe have never thought of that. Well, that is at least how it felt to me when you start to. It's kind of like, as a kid, at least here in Finland, we had those dot to dot things that you had a line and you connected it, and then at some point you had a picture, and this picture is never ready, because our consciousness as souls, we are always evolving. But that's the fun part of it, I think. I see humanity as a spectrum, I would say, kind of like this circle, and we are inside this circle, all of us. And it's this beautiful, I printed a picture, it's this beautiful circle with colors. And if you are familiar with the value of pi and how it's correlated to the creation of the world and the spirituality and the seed of life and the flower of life, I think this will kind of correlate to you even more. But yeah, I think we are all our individual shades. Our souls are all individual shade, and I think the thing that why we are in such a divisional world is that we are trying to be somebody else's shade. We are trying to be different color. And of course this is due to childhood and our life experiences, that we feel like we have to be something else in order to receive love and to receive acceptance, because we think somehow that love is conditional even though it should be unconditional. But yeah, I think we are all our unique shades, and I think through spiritual awakening we learn our unique shade and what we truly are, and I think it's beautiful. And I think the same goes to spirituality. We should always go where do we feel most drawn to, in a way. I think there's kind of a lot of talk around this, that you should not do this when you are more further on your spiritual journey, but I really don't think that's the case. Like, you go where you feel drawn to and what feels right to you and what makes you feel happy and what makes you feel good. And it's totally normal to kind of outgrow spiritual thoughts and practices and everything like that. But everything serves a purpose at certain moment. And I have some spiritual practices that I have had since the beginning of my spiritual journey, and some that I have outgrown. And I'm not sure how it will be in 1 year from now, but I think don't feel like you need to be or do something in order to be more spiritual, you know. You are your own unique shade, and your spirituality is your own unique shade, so you go where you feel drawn to. And of course, at least how I see it is that if your spiritual practices or thoughts or anything are harming somebody, are harming another person, animal, nature, then I think it should be kind of reconsidered, because spirituality, what is out there on the other side, is based on unconditional love. And I think then if your practices are not based on that, then it's out of alignment. At least this is how I view it. And one addition I want to say is that always remember that all spiritual teachers, gurus, content creators are still at the end of the day human. We only see a certain slice of them in books, in social media, everywhere. And that's kind of the polished way usually, you know. Of course, it's more and more nowadays that people are trying to show all of their life, but you know, we still are human. We have human needs and human behavior. We all go bathroom, we all go to the shower, we all eat and sleep, and you know, we are still human at the end of the day. So, you know, always remember that. And yeah, I use this spectrum thing in everything, in sexuality, in people interests, in everything. Kind of, I think we are all on a unique shades, and that's also the reason I want to emphasize that everybody is welcomed here in this channel. If you feel safe here, if it makes you feel good, that's all that matters. No matter what is your gender, your sexual orientation, your race, your nationality, your spiritual background, your religious background, everybody is welcomed here if it helps you. Actually, I want everybody here. Every single individual, you know, unique color. That's beautiful. So yeah, I guess this came out to be quite a long video. I have so many thoughts and so many ideas, so if you like this, I'm happy to do more of these kind of videos. So tell me on the comments, and So maybe to conclude all, I want to say that you are not alone, you are not crazy, everything is happening for a reason. Spiritual awakening, spiritual journey is not a race, it's not a competition, so take your time and remember that you're your unique shade and show it to the world, but also be gentle for yourself and take your time. But yeah, I hope this video helped you, and I hope that you maybe got some new ideas or perspectives, and I'm wishing you a great day and sending love from here. Bye bye.